So I get asked a lot, like, what are my plans for Slate? So the way it works is I'm actually fostering him for Heart of Phoenix Equine Rescue, right? After I'm done working with him, he will be available for adoption. And so typically what that looks like, it might be at their annual auction where people can bid on him, or a private sale where if someone sees him and they're like, wow, I've got to have this horse, they'll be able to adopt Slate and he'll have a new home. Wherever he goes, I love this horse. And in fact, the whole team teases me because they're like, there's no way you're going to put him up for let him go through the auction or end up selling this horse. This horse is probably going to end up being your horse. I don't know, but I do like him a lot, and he's a great horse. And what's cool is if you've been following him, you can see his progression. Right now we've just been dealing with a lot of the, what looks like aggression, but it's really fear and lack of understanding, where he was biting and striking and doing all that silly stuff. And you can see that starting to come out of him, and where he's just looking like a regular horse, right? He's going to be an amazing horse. Most of the critical work that he needs to have done, we've already been working on, right? So getting him to where he can accept people, where you can, be around him and he's not flying backwards or trying to come and get you. He's going to make somebody an amazing horse. But I am so vested in him doing well that whether he does go to auction or he does do private sale or whatever, I'm going to be a part of that process. I want to make sure that wherever he goes, that, I spend a couple days with that owner and work with them and help them to feel really comfortable with. That way we can make sure that that person and Slate are going to have, hey, bud, the best experience going forward. Because that's ultimately my goal, and stay in touch with whoever ends up having Slate. And that way I'm at your beck and call to help you, because this horse means a lot to me. He really does. He's a sweetheart, and he's going to make somebody a nice horse. Whether it's mine or somebody else's, we'll see. But he really is a special, special horse. Everyone who sees him is like, oh my goodness, he's so beautiful. And people have been following his progress and see how smart he is, right? What a cool guy. So we're gonna go right into some of the work that I wanna do with the lead rope. And I don't know, again, if you've been following Slate, the first time that I put a lead rope on him, typically when I have a wild horse that hasn't been touched, this is the paddock that I put them in, the stall and paddock setup. And I will put a rope on them and I'll kind of dolly it off here so that they can't pull. And he didn't do too bad. It wasn't like he was thrashing and pulling against the rope, but he would put some tension on it and kind of halfway sat back on it. And I really prefer to avoid that if I can, because I don't want to have him putting a lot of pressure on his pole, right? That's kind of an old school way where people would snub a horse up to a post, I don't know, 6 feet in the ground with all this concrete, and they got this metal post, and they'd snub a horse up to it, and the horse would spend all day fighting and thrashing until finally they give up, and you break that horse's spirit. I don't want to break this guy's spirit, and I definitely don't want to injure him or hurt him.